The history of rhinos in Europe is a fascinating journey that spans millions of years, from the ancient relatives of modern rhinos that roamed the continent during the Ice Age to their eventual disappearance due to changing climates and human activities. Woolly rhinoceros, Coelodonta antiquitatis. The most famous prehistoric rhino in Europe is the woolly rhinoceros, which lived during the Pleistocene epoch, around 3.6 million to 10,000 years ago. This species was well adapted to cold climates, with thick fur, a hump on its back for fat storage, and a large curved horn used for digging through snow to find vegetation. Fossils of the woolly rhinoceros have been found across Europe, from the British Isles to Siberia. It coexisted with other megafauna like mammoths and saber-toothed cats. The species went extinct around 10,000 years ago, likely due to a combination of climate change at the end of the Ice Age and overhunting by early humans. Other ancient rhino species, Elasmotherium, often referred to as the Siberian unicorn, this large prehistoric rhinoceros lived in the Eurasian steppes and may have survived until as recently as 39,000 years ago. Stephanohynus. This genus included several species such as the Merck's rhinoceros, Stephanohynus kirkbergensis, and the narrow-nosed rhinoceros, Stephanohynus hematoicus. These rhinos were common in Europe during the Pleistocene but became extinct due to climatic shifts and the arrival of humans. Post-Ice Age extinction. As the Ice Age ended and temperatures began to rise, the habitats suitable for these cold-adapted rhino species shrank. The transition from the Pleistocene to the Holocene epoch saw the extinction of the woolly rhinoceros and other megafauna in Europe. Human activity, including hunting and habitat modification, played a significant role in the extinction of these species. 1. Absence of modern rhinos. After the extinction of the woolly rhinoceros, Europe no longer had any native rhino species. Modern rhinos, such as the black rhino and white rhino, evolved in Africa and Asia and were not naturally present in Europe. During the medieval and Renaissance periods, rhinos became known in Europe primarily through imported specimens or descriptions from travelers who encountered them in Africa or Asia. The most famous of these was Dürer's rhinoceros, a woodcut made by the German artist Albrecht Dürer in 1515, based on a description and sketch of an Indian rhinoceros. 1. Rhinos in captivity and zoos. During the age of exploration and the colonial era, live rhinos were occasionally brought to Europe as exotic curiosities for royal menageries and later for public zoos. The first known rhinoceros in Europe since antiquity was brought from India to Portugal in 1515, where it became a sensation. This rhino, named Gander, was sent as a gift to the Pope, but tragically drowned in a shipwreck before reaching Rome. Over the centuries, various species of rhinos have been kept in European zoos, contributing to public awareness and eventually to conservation efforts. 1. Conservation and rewilding efforts. While no rhinos currently exist in the wild in Europe, the idea of reintroducing them has been explored within the broader context of rewilding projects. Efforts have primarily focused on captive breeding programs and ensuring the survival of rhino species in their native habitats. But the concept of introducing rhinos into suitable European environments as part of a rewilding initiative is a topic of ongoing discussion. Reintroducing rhinos in Europe is a concept that has gained interest among conservationists as part of broader rewilding and ecological restoration efforts. Although Europe is not part of the natural range of modern rhinos, the idea of reintroducing these large herbivores aims to restore ecological functions and enhance biodiversity. Here's an overview of the key considerations, challenges, and potential benefits. 1. Ecological considerations. Habitat. Suitability. Rhinos require large open areas with plenty of vegetation such as grasslands, savannas, or light woodlands. Parts of Europe, particularly in the Mediterranean region or other rewilded landscapes, may offer suitable climates and vegetation. Potential locations could include large nature reserves, national parks, or areas undergoing rewilding where ecosystems are being restored to a more natural state. Role in ecosystems. Rhinos are mega herbivores that play a crucial role in shaping landscapes by grazing on vegetation, which helps maintain open habitats and prevent bush encroachment. Their presence could help restore natural processes that have been missing since the extinction of Europe's large herbivores, potentially benefiting a variety of other species. 1. Challenges and risks non-native species. Rhinos are not native to modern Europe, so introducing them could pose risks to existing ecosystems, such as competition with native species, spread of diseases, or unforeseen ecological impacts. Careful assessment is needed to determine if reintroducing rhinos would complement or disrupt current ecosystems. Human-wildlife conflicts. Europe is densely populated, and reintroducing large animals like rhinos could lead to conflicts with agriculture, infrastructure, and human settlements. Measures would need to be implemented to minimize such conflicts, including fencing, monitoring, and public education programs. Climate adaptation. Rhinos are adapted to warmer climates, so the European climate, particularly in northern regions, may present challenges. Winters could be harsh for rhinos, requiring them to be placed in regions with milder climates or provided with additional care during cold months. Legal and ethical issues. Introducing a non-native species into the wild raises legal and ethical questions, including compliance with European Union regulations and international conservation laws. Ethical considerations involve ensuring the welfare of the rhinos and avoiding unintended consequences for native wildlife. 1. Steps for reintroduction feasibility studies. Conduct thorough research to evaluate the ecological, social, and economic feasibility of reintroducing rhinos to Europe. This would include environmental impact assessments and pilot projects to test the concept. Captive breeding and translocation. Rhinos could be bred in captivity within Europe or translocated from other regions where they are at risk. Establishing a genetically diverse population is critical to the success of the reintroduction. Gradual reintroduction. The reintroduction process would need to be gradual, starting with small, controlled areas where rhinos can be closely monitored. This would allow conservationists to study their adaptation and impacts before considering broader reintroduction. Monitoring and management. Implement comprehensive monitoring systems to track the health, behavior, and ecological impacts of reintroduced rhinos. Adaptive management would be necessary to address any emerging challenges. Community involvement. Engaging local communities is essential for the success of rewilding projects. Public awareness campaigns and community involvement in conservation efforts would help foster coexistence between humans and rhinos. Reintroducing rhinos in Europe would involve careful consideration of how these large herbivores would interact with existing species such as deer, wild horses, wild boar, and European bison. Understanding these interactions is crucial to ensure that the introduction of rhinos enhances rather than disrupts the ecological balance. 1. Deer, red deer, roe deer, fallow deer. Deer are primarily browsers, feeding on leaves, twigs and shoots, and grazers, feeding on grass, while rhinos, particularly white rhinos, are primarily grazers. This dietary overlap could lead to competition for food resources, especially in areas where grass availability is limited. However, rhinos typically consume tougher grasses and can graze in areas that might be less accessible or less preferred by deer, potentially reducing direct competition. Deer are more versatile in their habitat use, thriving in forests, grasslands, and mixed habitats. Rhinos prefer open grasslands or savannas, which could lead to some habitat partitioning, reducing direct interactions. Rhinos might help maintain open grassland habitats by preventing encroachment by shrubs and trees, indirectly benefiting deer by creating more grazing opportunities. Rhinos and deer are likely to coexist with minimal direct conflict, as they occupy different ecological niches and have different behaviors. Rhinos are generally solitary and less likely to engage in direct confrontations with deer. 1. Wild horses like Przewalski's horse. Wild horses are also grazers, feeding primarily on grasses. The introduction of rhinos could lead to competition for grazing resources, especially in areas with limited grass availability. However, wild horses tend to graze on a wider variety of grasses and may focus on different grass species or plant parts compared to rhinos, which could reduce direct competition. Both rhinos and wild horses prefer open grasslands. In rewilding projects where wild horses are already present, rhinos could help maintain these open habitats by controlling shrub and tree encroachment. The presence of rhinos might also encourage wild horses to move more frequently, promoting a dynamic and diverse grassland ecosystem. Wild horses are social animals and might be curious about rhinos, but direct interactions are likely to be rare. Rhinos are generally non-aggressive towards other herbivores unless provoked. 1. Wild boar. Wild boar are omnivores with a broad diet, including roots, tubers, acorns, and small animals. They are highly adaptable and can thrive in various habitats, including forests and grasslands. The introduction of rhinos is unlikely to significantly impact wild boar populations, as their dietary preferences and foraging behaviors are quite different. Wild boar are known for their rooting behavior, which can disturb the soil and vegetation. This behavior might indirectly affect rhinos by altering the grassland structure, but direct conflicts are unlikely. Rhinos and wild boar are likely to coexist with minimal interaction, as they occupy different ecological roles. 1. European bison. European bison are mixed feeders, consuming both grasses and browse, leaves, twigs, bark. There could be some dietary overlap with rhinos, particularly in areas where both species graze on the same grasses. However, European bison also feed on shrubs and trees, which could complement the grazing activities of rhinos by targeting different parts of the vegetation. European bison prefer mixed forest and open woodland habitats, but also graze in open grasslands. Rhinos, with their preference for more open areas, might help maintain these grasslands, benefiting bison by creating more grazing opportunities. The two species might share habitats, but their different feeding strategies could reduce direct competition. European bison are social animals, forming herds, while rhinos are more solitary. Direct interactions might be rare, and any encounters would likely be non-aggressive unless either species feels threatened. Both species are large and powerful, so any confrontations would likely result in avoidance rather than aggression. The reintroduction of rhinos in Europe could lead to various interactions with existing species like deer, wild horses, wild boar, and European bison. Generally, these interactions are likely to be neutral or even beneficial, as rhinos and these species occupy different ecological niches and have complementary roles in the ecosystem. Positive interactions. Rhinos could help maintain open grasslands, benefiting species like deer, wild horses, and bison by providing more grazing opportunities. Potential competition. Some competition for grazing resources might occur, particularly between rhinos, wild horses, and bison. However, the difference in feeding strategies could mitigate direct competition. Minimal conflict. Direct behavioral conflicts between rhinos and these species are likely to be minimal, as rhinos are generally non-aggressive towards other herbivores. Overall, with careful management and monitoring, rhinos could be successfully reintroduced into European landscapes, contributing to biodiversity and the restoration of natural processes. Reintroducing rhinos in Europe would also involve interactions with the region's large carnivores, such as wolves, brown bears, Eurasian lynx, and golden jackals. Understanding these interactions is crucial for ensuring the success of the rewilding project and maintaining ecological balance. Here's how rhinos might interact with these predators. Reintroducing rhinos in Europe would involve various interactions with the region's wolf populations. Here's an overview of how these interactions might play out. Adult rhinos are too large and powerful to be preyed upon by wolves. Wolves primarily target smaller and more manageable prey, such as deer, wild boar, and occasionally livestock. Rhinos' size and strength make them an impractical target for wolves. In general, wolves avoid tackling animals that could inflict serious harm or are too difficult to take down. While adult rhinos are safe from wolves, calves, or injured, sick rhinos could be vulnerable to a pack of wolves. However, such situations would be rare. Wolves might target young rhinos if they are isolated from their mothers or otherwise weakened, but this would be an uncommon occurrence. Wolves primarily hunt herbivores like deer, wild boar, and occasionally livestock. The introduction of rhinos could affect the populations of these prey species, potentially altering the availability of food for wolves. If rhinos help maintain open grasslands, it might influence the distribution of prey species, which could in turn impact wolf hunting patterns. Habitat preferences. Rhinos prefer open grasslands and savannas, while wolves can inhabit a wide range of environments, including forests, mountains, and grasslands. This difference in habitat preference could reduce direct interactions. In areas where their habitats overlap, wolves might avoid regions with high rhino activity due to the rhino's size and presence. Wolves are intelligent and adaptable predators. They are likely to avoid direct confrontations with large animals like rhinos, perceiving them as a potential threat. If rhinos establish a strong presence in an area, wolves might alter their behavior to avoid direct encounters, focusing on more manageable prey. The presence of rhinos could lead to indirect effects on wolf behavior. For instance, if rhinos help create more open grasslands, this could potentially alter the distribution of prey species, thereby influencing wolf hunting strategies and territories. Ecological balance. Rhinos could contribute to maintaining open habitats by preventing shrub and tree encroachment. This could benefit wolves by sustaining populations of their prey species in these open habitats. If rhinos indirectly support prey populations, this could provide a more stable food source for wolves. Monitoring and adaptation. It's crucial to closely monitor the interactions between rhinos and wolves to understand and manage any emerging issues. Conservationists might need to implement measures to mitigate any potential negative impacts, such as monitoring prey populations and adjusting management strategies accordingly. Overall, the introduction of rhinos to Europe is unlikely to pose significant direct threats to wolves due to the size difference and differing ecological roles. Wolves might avoid direct confrontations with rhinos and adapt their behavior based on changes in prey availability. The presence of rhinos could potentially benefit wolves by contributing to a more dynamic and balanced ecosystem. However, careful monitoring and management will be essential to ensure that both rhinos and wolves can coexist harmoniously. Reintroducing rhinos in Europe would lead to various interactions with the region's brown bears. Here's an overview of how rhinos might interact with brown bears in terms of predation risk, habitat use, and behavioral interactions. Adult rhinos are too large and powerful to be preyed upon by brown bears. Bears primarily hunt smaller mammals and are not equipped to take down large herbivores like rhinos. Rhinos and brown bears are unlikely to interact in a predatory context due to the significant size difference and the bear's general diet. While adult rhinos are safe from bears, young rhinos or calves could theoretically be at risk if they are weak or isolated. However, such interactions would be rare. Brown bears are opportunistic feeders and might scavenge on the carcass of a deceased rhino, but they're unlikely to actively prey on live rhinos. Brown bears inhabit forests, mountains, and tundra. They are highly adaptable and can occupy a range of habitats. Rhinos, on the other hand, prefer open grasslands and savannas. The different habitat preferences mean that direct overlap in their preferred environments might be limited. Rhinos are more likely to inhabit open areas, while bears prefer forested and mixed landscapes. In regions where their habitats overlap, such as forest edges or mixed landscapes, there might be some potential for interaction. However, the large size and territorial nature of rhinos could lead bears to avoid areas with high rhino activity. Brown bears are generally solitary and might avoid areas with frequent rhino activity due to the rhino's size and potential for aggression. Rhinos and bears are both capable of defending themselves, so direct confrontations are unlikely. Bears may avoid rhinos to prevent potential conflict. Ecological impact. If rhinos help maintain open grasslands, this could indirectly benefit brown bears by supporting populations of prey species. For example, increased open areas might support more herbivores, which could be a food source for bears. Rhinos' impact on vegetation could also influence bear foraging behavior, as changes in plant availability could affect the overall habitat. The presence of rhinos could contribute to maintaining and restoring natural habitats. By preventing shrub and tree encroachment, rhinos can help sustain the open habitats that benefit various wildlife, including brown bears. Healthy, diverse ecosystems support a range of species, including both herbivores and predators. Rhinos' role in shaping the landscape could thus have indirect positive effects on brown bears and their prey. In the event of natural mortality, the carcasses of rhinos could provide scavenging opportunities for brown bears, although this would be an infrequent occurrence. It's essential to monitor interactions between rhinos and brown bears to understand their coexistence and address any emerging issues. Conservationists would need to track the health of both species, manage habitat overlap, and address any potential conflicts that arise. The reintroduction of rhinos in Europe is unlikely to pose significant direct threats to brown bears due to differences in size and diet. Brown bears might avoid direct interactions with rhinos due to their size and potential aggression. Rhinos could contribute positively to the ecosystem by maintaining open habitats, which might benefit brown bears indirectly by supporting their prey species. Proper monitoring and management will be essential to ensure both species can coexist successfully and harmoniously. Eurasian lynx. Eurasian lynx are significantly smaller than rhinos and are not equipped to prey on large herbivores. They typically hunt small to medium-sized mammals such as roe deer, hares and birds. Adult rhinos are well beyond their capacity to be preyed upon. While lynx might theoretically pose a threat to very young or weak rhinos if they are isolated, such situations would be extremely rare due to the lynx's size and hunting preferences. Lynx are more likely to avoid young rhinos to prevent potential injury. Eurasian lynx prefer dense forests and rugged terrain, where they can effectively hunt their prey through stealth and ambush. Rhinos, on the other hand, favour open grasslands and savannas. Direct habitat overlap might be limited since lynx and rhinos prefer different types of environments. However, in transitional areas where open grasslands meet forest edges, there might be some overlap. Behavioural interactions. Lynx are solitary and elusive animals, often avoiding larger or potentially dangerous animals. They are likely to steer clear of rhinos to avoid direct confrontations. Indirect effects. Rhinos could influence lynx indirectly by affecting the distribution of prey species. For example, if rhinos help maintain open habitats, this might benefit prey species of lynx, such as small mammals and deer, by creating more diverse habitats. Lynx are unlikely to interact significantly with rhinos due to size differences and habitat preferences. Lynx might avoid rhinos and benefit indirectly from changes in prey distribution caused by rhinos. Golden jackal. Golden jackals are much smaller than rhinos and are primarily scavengers and opportunistic feeders. They are not a threat to adult rhinos, which are too large and powerful for jackals to handle. Young or vulnerable rhinos. Jackals might scavenge on the carcass of a deceased rhino if one were to die, but they are not likely to pose a direct threat to live rhinos, even young ones. They generally focus on smaller mammals and carrion. Golden jackals are adaptable and can thrive in a variety of habitats, including grasslands, forests, and agricultural areas. They might share some habitat with rhinos, but are unlikely to have significant direct interactions. The presence of rhinos could create more open habitats, which might attract jackals if these areas support a diverse range of prey. Behavioral interactions. Jackals might benefit from the presence of rhinos if rhinos attract other herbivores, or if jackals can scavenge on the carcasses of deceased rhinos. However, such opportunities would be infrequent. Avoidance and coexistence. Jackals are likely to avoid direct interactions with large animals like rhinos. They might coexist with rhinos without significant conflict due to their different feeding habits and ecological roles. Jackals are not a threat to rhinos and might scavenge on rhino carcasses if they become available. They are likely to coexist with rhinos without major conflicts due to different feeding strategies and ecological roles. Reintroducing rhinos to Europe is a complex task, and selecting the appropriate species is critical to ensuring ecological compatibility and long-term sustainability. Here's a look at the rhino species that could potentially be considered for reintroduction in Europe. White rhino are grazers, primarily feeding on grasses, making them well suited for open grasslands and savanna-like environments. They are social animals and can adapt to different types of grasslands, which could align with certain European landscapes that are open and grassy. White rhinos require large territories and could face challenges in adapting to colder climates typical of many parts of Europe. They might also need significant space and resources, which could be a limiting factor in more fragmented European landscapes. Black rhinos are browsers, feeding on a wide variety of bushes, shrubs and small trees. They are more solitary and territorial compared to white rhinos. This species might adapt to forested or bushy areas in Europe, especially in regions with mixed landscapes of forests and open areas. Black rhinos are known for their more aggressive behavior and might pose challenges in areas with higher human populations or where human-wildlife conflicts could arise. They would also require habitats that can support their browsing diet. Indian rhino, or greater one-horned rhino, is a grazer and prefers grasslands, wetlands and floodplains. Historically, they occupied a variety of habitats, including forests, which might make them adaptable to some European landscapes. Indian rhinos prefer tropical and subtropical climates, which could limit their adaptability to colder European environments. They also have specific needs for water bodies and could require habitat modifications in Europe to support these needs. Sumatran rhino. Sumatran rhinos are the smallest of the rhino species and are forest dwellers, feeding on a variety of vegetation, including leaves, fruits and twigs. They are highly endangered and typically inhabit dense forests. Sumatran rhinos are not ideal candidates for reintroduction in Europe due to their need for dense tropical rainforests, which are not widely available in Europe. Their critically endangered status also makes any translocation efforts extremely risky. Woolly rhino. The woolly rhino once roamed parts of Europe during the Ice Age, and there have been discussions about de-extinction or the revival of species that could fill similar ecological roles. However, this remains largely speculative and experimental at this point. The woolly rhino is extinct, and any attempts at de-extinction would involve significant scientific challenges and ethical considerations. Additionally, it would require suitable cold habitats similar to the Ice Age tundras, which are not present in the current European landscape. Considerations for reintroduction. European climates, especially in colder regions, could pose challenges for rhino species that are adapted to warmer, tropical or subtropical environments. Europe's fragmented landscapes and dense human populations may limit the available habitat for large territorial animals like rhinos. Ensuring large, connected and suitable habitats would be crucial. The selected species should fit into the existing ecosystem without causing significant disruption. Grazing or browsing habits must align with the available flora and not lead to habitat degradation. The white rhino and black rhino are the most likely candidates for potential reintroduction in Europe, given their adaptability to open and bushy landscapes. However, significant considerations regarding climate, habitat size and human-wildlife interactions would need to be addressed. Reintroduction would require careful planning, ecological assessments and possibly habitat modifications to ensure a sustainable population. Reintroducing rhinos to Europe could bring several potential benefits to the environment, biodiversity and even human society. Here are some key potential benefits. 1. Biodiversity enhancement ecosystem engineers. Rhinos are considered ecosystem engineers because their grazing and browsing habits can significantly shape and maintain the structure of their habitats. By feeding on grasses and shrubs, rhinos can help maintain open landscapes and prevent the encroachment of woody plants, which supports a diverse range of plant and animal species. Increased habitat diversity. The presence of rhinos can create more varied habitats, which in turn can support a wider array of wildlife. For example, their feeding habits can create microhabitats that benefit smaller mammals, birds and insects. 1. Promotion of natural processes. Seed dispersal. Rhinos play an important role in seed dispersal through their dung, which can help regenerate plant populations and promote plant diversity. This is particularly beneficial for the growth of certain tree and shrub species that rely on large herbivores for seed distribution. Nutrient cycling. Rhino dung adds organic matter to the soil, enhancing soil fertility and promoting healthy plant growth. This contributes to nutrient cycling, supporting the overall health of the ecosystem. 1. Restoration of ecological balance control of invasive species. By maintaining open grasslands and reducing the spread of invasive plant species, rhinos can help restore ecological balance. This is particularly important in areas where invasive species threaten native biodiversity, supporting predator populations. While rhinos themselves are not prey, the ecosystems they help sustain can support healthy populations of predators, such as wolves and large cats, by maintaining habitats for prey species like deer and smaller mammals. 1. Climate change mitigation. Carbon sequestration. Healthy, well-maintained grasslands and savannas, which rhinos help sustain, can act as significant carbon sinks. By promoting the growth of these habitats, rhinos can contribute to carbon sequestration, helping to mitigate the effects of climate change. Habitat resilience. Ecosystems with a diverse range of species and well-maintained habitats are generally more resilient to climate change. Rhinos, by supporting habitat diversity and ecological balance, can contribute to the resilience of European ecosystems. 1. Cultural and educational benefits. Cultural heritage. The reintroduction of rhinos to Europe can reconnect people with a part of their natural heritage, as rhinos once roamed Europe in ancient times. This can foster a sense of pride and responsibility for conserving biodiversity. Educational opportunities. Rhinos can serve as flagship species for conservation efforts, helping to raise awareness about the importance of biodiversity and ecosystem health. This can lead to increased public interest in and support for conservation initiatives. 1. Tourism and economic benefits. Ecotourism. Potential. The presence of rhinos in Europe could attract eco-tourists, boosting local economies, especially in rural areas where nature tourism is a key industry. This can provide financial incentives for conservation and habitat protection. Job creation, reintroduction and conservation programs can create jobs in wildlife management, conservation, research and ecotourism, benefiting local communities economically. 1. Scientific research understanding ecosystem dynamics. Reintroducing rhinos offers a unique opportunity to study the effects of large herbivores on European ecosystems, providing valuable data that can inform conservation strategies for other species and habitats. Conservation science. The Reintroduction project could advance the field of conservation science, particularly in understanding how to successfully reintegrate large mammals into modern landscapes. Conclusion. Reintroducing rhinos to Europe has the potential to bring numerous ecological, economic and cultural benefits. Rhinos can enhance biodiversity, promote natural processes, restore ecological balance and contribute to climate change mitigation. Additionally, the presence of rhinos could boost ecotourism, create jobs and provide valuable opportunities for scientific research and public education. However, these benefits would need to be carefully weighed against the challenges of habitat suitability, human-wildlife conflict, and long-term sustainability. Reintroducing rhinos to Europe would require careful consideration of several factors, including habitat suitability, climate, space availability, and human population density. Here are some potential locations in Europe that could be considered for rhino reintroduction. 1. The Carpathian Mountains, Eastern Europe. Countries: Romania, Poland, Slovakia, Ukraine. Habitat. The Carpathians offer vast areas of relatively undisturbed forests, grasslands and meadows. The region supports a variety of large mammals, including European bison, brown bears and wolves, suggesting that it has the capacity to support other large herbivores like rhinos. Climate. The climate is temperate, with cold winters and warm summers, which would require rhinos to adapt to cooler conditions than their native tropical habitats. Human population. Parts of the Carpathians are sparsely populated, reducing the risk of human-wildlife conflict and allowing for large areas to be designated for conservation. 1. The Danube Delta, Romania. Habitat. The Danube Delta is a vast wetland area with diverse ecosystems, including marshes, forests and grasslands. The delta is rich in biodiversity and could potentially support rhinos, particularly those with a preference for wetter habitats, such as the Indian rhino. Climate. The climate is milder than in the Carpathians, with less severe winters, which might be more suitable for species like the Indian rhino. Conservation areas. The delta is already a UNESCO World Heritage Site, offering a level of protection that could be beneficial for a reintroduction program. 1. The Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portugal. Habitat. Spain and Portugal have several large semi-arid regions and protected areas, such as the Donana National Park and the Extremadura region, that could be suitable for rhino reintroduction. The Mediterranean climate and open landscapes could be conducive to species like the white or black rhino. Existing conservation programs. The Iberian Peninsula has been involved in successful reintroduction projects for other large mammals, such as the Iberian lynx, providing a model for potential rhino reintroduction. Climate. The warm climate of southern Spain and Portugal is closer to the natural habitats of African rhinos, making it a potentially good fit for species accustomed to warmer temperatures. 1. The Rhodope Mountains, Bulgaria and Greece. Habitat. The Rhodope Mountains offer a mix of forested and open areas with rich biodiversity, including populations of large herbivores and carnivores. The region has significant conservation areas and relatively low human population density. Climate. The climate is temperate, with milder winters than in northern Europe, which could be more suitable for rhinos. Biodiversity. The region is home to species like the European bison and bears, suggesting that it has the potential to support other large herbivores like rhinos. 1. The Pannonian Plain, Hungary, Austria, Serbia. Habitat. The Pannonian Plain is a large, flat region that includes grasslands, wetlands, and steppe-like habitats. This area could potentially support rhinos, particularly grazers like the white rhino. Conservation potential. The region has been the focus of other rewilding efforts, such as the reintroduction of European bison and Przewalski's horse, providing a framework for similar projects involving rhinos. Climate. The climate is continental with hot summers and cold winters, which would require a careful selection of rhino species and potential habitat modifications. 1. The Netherlands, Oostvaardersplassen Nature Reserve. Habitat. The Oostvaardersplassen is a rewilding area that has been used to reintroduce large herbivores like heck cattle, conic horses and red deer. While smaller than some other areas, it has been managed to recreate a naturalistic landscape that could potentially support smaller populations of rhinos. Climate. The maritime climate of the Netherlands, with mild winters and cool summers, may pose challenges for rhinos, but with proper management it could be possible. Rewilding initiatives. The Netherlands has a strong history of rewilding and conservation, which could provide a supportive environment for rhino reintroduction. Considerations for reintroduction: large, connected habitats. Rhinos require large territories, so areas with extensive protected lands and the possibility of connecting corridors are essential. Human-wildlife conflict. Locations with lower human population density and existing conservation infrastructure would be preferable to minimize conflicts. Climate adaptation. Rhinos would need to adapt to European climates, which may be colder and more variable than their native habitats. Selecting locations with milder climates or modifying habitats to support their needs would be crucial. Conclusion. The Carpathian Mountains, the Danube Delta, the Iberian Peninsula, the Rhodope Mountains, the Pannonian Plain, and the Oostvaardersplassen Nature Reserve are all potential candidates for rhino reintroduction in Europe. Each location offers unique benefits and challenges, and the success of any reintroduction program would depend on careful planning, habitat management, and ongoing conservation efforts.